Okay, I get asked a lot how they bound their hair. Um, we have evidence of leather, strips of leather, silk, um, animal gut, yuck, all sorts of other things. Basically, anything that will shrink a little bit when you wash, when it dries. And what they would do is they would do it wet. They would get their chunk of whatever and do it wet. So what I did was I just tied a knot in some embroidery thread. This is just mainly for the purpose of showing you. Put the needle through the knot, and then I don't have to worry about the needle for a little bit. And I'm going to wrap this really tight as I can get it, around the hair. Linen thread, all sorts of stuff, but mainly you want stuff that you know is going to shrink up if you put it on wet. And you can see that I'm doing this below my hairband, and that's because I'm going to actually cut the hairband off or take it out when I'm done. So once I get that pretty good and tight the way I want it, then I'm going to take that and drop it down below it, and then that's where I would cut it off. And so that creates your tie off for whatever you're doing. And I've done this on several different things, and once you clip it all off, it's pretty much going to stay there to hold it all in place. So you can do that with a bunch of different things. Of course, they didn't have rubber bands. They did have metal, and they did have wire. The Egyptians used, of course, we all know the little bits of wire, not wire, little bits of metal stuff, and they would literally, get it in focus, these guys. So they would literally take pieces of very thin metal, pound it flat, pound a pattern into it, cut it into small strips, and then the small strips would get made into little tubes that you can put in the hair, and then if it's not too old, like that one is, crimp in place. And it holds it. So the Egyptians, we know for sure, bound their hair with some metal, but they also had flax and cotton and linen that they would use to do it with. And again, most fabric, if you get it really wet and stretch it out a little bit, will actually tighten up when it dries. So there's that.